It's over 2 decades now since the once legendary Alpine badge appeared on the side of a sports car from France. But now the brand is back, and the A110 it's attached to is one of the most intriguing cars we've driven all year. Why? Because in simple terms, the A110 is a lightweight mid-engine 2-seater sports car that's made mostly from aluminium and which is powered by a 1.8 litre turbo engine with 249 bhp. All of which sounds interesting enough on paper, but hardly rule-bending. In reality though, the £50,000 A110 is the biggest threat to the mighty Porsche Cayman yet seen anywhere from any car company. And there are all sorts of reasons why. One, it weighs just over 1,100 kilograms, which means it's light with a capital L. Two, it's been designed and engineered by a team of hardcore enthusiasts from Alpine to be absolutely as good to drive as any car has ever been at this level. Three, it looks sensational in the flesh, both inside and out. So the question is, does it drive as good as it looks? And if it does, has Alpine pulled off one of the coups of the decade on its return by outdoing Porsche at its own game? As they say, stay tuned and you'll find out. It's amazing, the A110 is one of these very rare cars that feels absolutely right and correct in about the first 50 yards of travel. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why. The ride on this car, the suspension, the all-round double wishbone suspension, pretty trick dampers as well, just feels sweet the moment you start moving in it. And although you've got all these modes that you can scroll up through, normal, sport and then track, which we'll do later on, the dampers and the suspension stays exactly the same throughout. And it's actually quite soft. Alpine have engineered quite a lot of movement into the suspension deliberately to give it this lovely kind of compliance, and it just sort of feels like a Lotus Esprit used to feel all those years ago, and I mean that as the biggest compliment of all. But anyway, there are all sorts of other things that are just really good about the A110. It sounds good. It sounds really good for a 4-cylinder car. It has 249 horsepower, which doesn't sound like that much until you realise how much it weighs. 1,100 kilograms, 1,103 kilograms. When you put those two together, it means the horsepower per tonne figure is actually pretty fruity. And as a result, this thing really, really goes and sounds dead good as well. It's got a really nice dual clutch gearbox. Bit controversial because they haven't fitted it with a manual gearbox. Alpine basically said, well, we could have had a manual and we could have had a dual clutch, but we couldn't have really committed to the dual clutch if we'd done that because they didn't have enough money to do both. So they really did properly commit to having a dual clutch, and it just works a treat. I am not missing a third pedal or a gear lever here. Not when the gear change is this snappy, this good. But what's most lovely of all about the A110, apart from the way it looks, which is absolutely delightful, what's most lovely of all is the handling. The steering is light, but super direct, bundles of feel, and this thing just feels light and agile on its feet in a way that I'm afraid to say a Cayman 718 does not. And it's all about the kilograms. This thing weighs nearly 300 kilograms less than a Cayman, and you can just feel that in everything it does in the way it goes down the road. Alpine claims a 0 to 62 mph time of 4.5 seconds and a top speed of 155 miles an hour. But this is not a car that chases lap times or rule-busting acceleration figures. Instead, it's a rather more complex animal than that, one that's about touch and feel and pure driver satisfaction. Not that it's exactly slow on road or track.
You can put the gearbox either in auto or in full manual. I've got it in full manual. I've been driving it in normal for a bit, and in order to go up, you just press this little red button on the steering wheel, and now we go to sport, and you can definitely hear that the exhaust gets louder. You get a few more pops and bangs on overrun. and the throttle response gets keener, a lot keener. And if you then go up to track, it gets keener still. And then it's really easy to get quite carried away and to start to do things that you probably shouldn't do in a road car on the public road, but you just can't help it in this thing. The other thing that happens when you engage track is it just allows a little bit more slip from the ESC system, which is quite nice because you've still got the safety net. It will throw the anchors out if you get into a lot of trouble, but it'll just allow quite a decent amount of slip actually, so you can kind of feel like you're sliding it around a bit. I mean, it's very much a track setting, but I don't know, I really like driving it on the road in track. Lovely brake feel, really powerful brakes as well, again because of the lack of kilograms. Because there's just so little mass to stop, it stops on a sixpence, a bit like a Caterham does. Anyway, to really find out just how good the new A110 is, and it is fabulous on the road, I have to say, but just find out really how good it is, we need to go to a track. So here we are on a track. This is a great little track. It's a private little playground for this count, just outside or up into the hills above Vence. And obviously Alpine have hired it for the week. I'm in track mode, which, as we say, puts the throttle, the gearbox, the ESC in a fruitier setting. I've actually turned the ESC off, even though it's really quite slippery and slidey and in places a little bit icy, because, I don't know, it's quite good fun to do a bit of that if you can. So the first thing you notice about the A110 on the track is, again, just the same as on the road, but possibly even more so, is just how agile it is. And you really notice it in the braking zones, because there's just this fabulous absence of weight that you don't have to kind of get rid of, and you don't have to manage, because there just isn't that much car to have to slow down. It's a really tight and twisty track, this, but it actually suits the A110 really well, because this car is not ultimately all about poke. It's about touch, it's about agility. Yes, it's about performance, and there's a lot of performance. What we're doing here, 180 kilometers an hour down the back straight. Yeah, that's not bad from a 1.8 litre turbo. But no, it's just the handling of this thing that is so good, so sweet, so different from pretty much, I think, any other car, sports car, that money can buy at the moment. This car really does serve a lesson to anyone currently engaged in building a sports car, because just don't put too many kilograms in the thing, please, Porsche. Okay, I'm just going to try and describe what's going on in the A110. You turn in, and the front end is there, pin sharp, exactly where you want it to be. There is a whiff of understeer that they've engineered into the chassis, just for that little bit of safety, but it's not really an understeery car, I have to admit. It is quite soft though, and you can feel this movement that it has, but it's movement that you can do stuff with. It's movement that works for you rather than against you. It stops on a sixpence, it goes really rather well, I have to say. It feels so much quicker than the horsepower figure suggests it might actually be. But what it is mostly of all is just fun. It's got touch, it's got feel, it's got more than enough performance. It's just a brilliant car, the A110, it really is. And it's mid-engine, remember? I'm sliding it around like that and it's a mid-engine car. It's just lovely, it's absolutely lovely. For £50,000, I think this is the best sports car money can buy right now. I should probably put it back in its box now before I go and stick it into the Armco. Anyway, thanks Alpine.
So in a word, the A110 is brilliant. And the world of sports cars should learn a thing or two from this car. And the key lesson is that power and torque are not necessarily the holy grail when it comes to the pursuit of pure driver satisfaction. What a car, and what a return to form from France's most iconic sports car brand. Porsche and the rest of them should be worried, well and truly worried. Click on the video windows to watch first drives of the 718 Porsche Cayman S or the 718 Porsche Boxster. Click on the play icon to watch our latest video or on our logo to subscribe. Cheers for watching.